Yes, Nearly Men listeners, we're back. We're going to be debriefing everything England. We've got Ollie all the way, our correspondent from America. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm hot. It's very hot. Very hot.
I've heard it's like 35. I actually saw the Overlap boys on ITV, but afterwards they were saying the aircon had broken in their studio. And I did notice for the
Oh,
I was watching the game after England, Neville was like dripping with sweat. And they were like, it was tough.
mate, it was 35 degrees yesterday. It's 38 today. It's 39 tomorrow, I think. So basically having to plan my days around just being inside for as long as I possibly can.
Yeah, mate, I bet. Did you go to the game? Were you at the Congo game?
I wasn't at the game though. Watched it in a bar. Pretty stressful, I would say.
Oh yeah, see Declan Rice's interview. Someone was like to him, really stressful game. How did you find it? And he was like, stress wasn't stressful. And then he was like, we don't. And he went down and I love Rice. He went down a bit of a PR route of like, we weren't stressed, we were comfortable, we knew we were going to win. Instantly afterwards, Elliot Anderson got interviewed. I was listening on Talksport. Same presenter asked him the same question. And Elliot Anderson was like, yeah, it was really stressful, to be honest. We were really, it's like, yeah, you were obviously stressed.
Well, you could tell by the way they were playing in the first half. Like that was one of the worst opening 20 minutes or 20 minute spells I've ever seen an England team have. Like we were just there. That was the personification of rattled.
Yes, let's sum it up quickly. My perspective on it, Pickford should have saved it. I think Spence was a little bit scapegoated. I think Madueke could have tracked back a little more. I really like Madueke and I thought he was our biggest threat. But I do think Jordan Pickford is a much better keeper than that and should cover his near post. And if it goes into the roof of the net, if it's an absolute rocket and it goes up past him up here, I've got no issue with it. That far out, knowing that he's going to shoot, all you got to do is cover that near post. If he puts it bottom right, I don't have an issue. But if he's going to hit you at the near post, I think that should be covered, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think Pickford is quietly having a really bad tournament. Like I don't think. I'm not saying that he could have done loads about many of the goals he conceded against Croatia, but just like he just looks so shaky. And I agree he should have saved it, even though it was a good finish. And I totally agree about Jed Spence. I think that because for some reason, I don't know why he's the one who is kind of bearing the brunt of this right back discussion. Like, if you think he's our third or fourth choice right back, whether that's true or not, I don't know why he is the one who is then like under the microscope. And I totally agree. Like Madueke should be covering, or Konza should be marking the man in the middle. Like I don't know where Konza and Gay are going. Spence is so isolated. There's nothing he can do. I thought he was also good after that. He was rattled at the start, but everyone was rattled. He was no different to anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of my favourite things from the World Cup, we're going to do an episode on some fun topics on Monday, is the Twitter revival. I think it's fair to say we all know that X died when Elon Musk came about. I stopped using it. I didn't tweet for like a year. Just morally, I'm just so correct like that. But really, it was just because it's just full of bots and a horrible place to be. But I did see a tweet that I actually don't agree with, but I just have been laughing at it all week. And it was like, we've got a chance against Mexico as long as we don't start the Brothers of Destruction on the right. I don't agree with it, but it did make me laugh. The Brothers of Destruction is an incredible slur.
Mate, I saw you had a little tweet go viral the other day. Is that why you like Twitter now?
Mate, I'm back. What can I say? Do you know what? Twitter for me was the biggest platform for me at one point. Like, not in terms of followers and all that stuff, but engagement back in the day used to just pop off.
Really?
Mate, I used to be quite the incel tweeter. But nowadays, like, I just don't even go on the app because half the time you go on it, it's just so toxic. But yeah, I do think the fallout around England has been interesting. Look, we broke a record. We've never turned a knockout game around since '66, where we've been behind. I think one of the big things I've taken away from the game is I've been saying here, we are always going to learn what England are about in the knockouts. And I think we both agreed Trent not being there wasn't a massive issue until I saw the Livramento injury. I think last night was glaringly obvious that in that Congo game, you had to have Trent Alexander-Arnold there. Tuchel's come out and said his assistant, Anthony Barry, who's been doing all the interviews, was the one who spotted that potentially in that right back position, they should move Rice there as he's the best passer of the ball. He's got the best delivery from deep, inverting. There is a man that exists who is English, who is the best at that job in world football. Now, I would always start Reece James over him. I don't have an issue with that. But last night, you can't tell me that Trent wouldn't have done a job in that position.
Yeah, he would have done a job, but like I don't know. there's no way Trent prevents that goal. That's the thing I have like an issue with. If you talk about like moments in a game, I saw Henry Winter, who has been on a generationally bad run on Twitter recently. God, I really like him. He's doing my head in. He was like penny for Trent Alexander-Arnold's thoughts. I'm like, yeah, Trent, who is notoriously good at defending the back post. Like, what are we doing here? He's not doing anything to prevent that goal. I agree. Like, he probably would get minutes there, definitely. But I still don't trust him defensively. And let's be honest, it's not like he had a good season for Madrid. I think he started 12 or completed 12 90 minutes. That was it. So it's not like he's been this, stalwart for the best defense in the world. Who do you think is going to play right back against Mexico? Because I quite liked Declan Rice there. I liked that dynamic.
We might have accidentally found something. I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. I think I trust Rice in a 1v1 defensive situation massively. If I was putting my Tuchel hat on and the coaching team, I have a feeling potentially Konza goes out there and John Stones comes into centre-back with Gahey just for the experience. But obviously then when you have Konza, you lose any attacking threat down that right. And I think moving over to the left, it was glaringly obvious yesterday that Rashford and O'Reilly, maybe it will work against bigger in terms of aggressive teams. And actually, shout out Congo, man. They were incredible. They played a really good game. They deserved to at least take us to extra time, in my opinion, if not win the game. I mean, they were in front for the best part of it. I just think when you've got a player like Rashford on the left, always wanting to cut in, especially up against Wan-Bissaka, who's a great 1v1 defender, as you all know from England, his time at Palace and everything. But also, he's only doing one thing, and O'Reilly wants to invert and play like he does at City. There was so many times watching that game where it was like Rashford was just isolated on that wing, only wanting to go in on his right. So I'm a little bit worried about the dynamic of the group and the sort of positions around our wing in terms of the right-hand side. If you play Konza, you lose any real threat, you lose any real overlap. Saka doesn't look fit. We know he can't sprint. It's going to be a really interesting one. Where does your head go to it? What do you want, but what do you think Tuchel and his team will do?
I think on the right-hand side, I think we're going to carry on starting Madueke, and I think we should carry on starting Madueke because it's like something we've spoken about previously, and I've said it about Palmer at the Euros. Like you want to have good players on the pitch at the end of the game, and I think I'd way rather have Saka for the last, let's say, half an hour of normal time plus extra time than the first hour, assuming he can't do the full 120, which I think we can see he can't. And I agree, I know Madueke can be very frustrating sometimes, but he is constantly getting the ball. He is on it the whole time. And I don't think that many other players would take that responsibility to the level that he does. The goal yesterday, or the first goal, comes from Rice overlapping, if I remember that correctly. It was the little Arsenal triangle of Eze, Saka, Rice, and Rice dinks it over. Obviously, the cross is too far, goes to Gordon, who crosses it back in, and Kane scored. So you definitely need the threat down that side. I think down the right, Madueke will start again. I always think he'll probably just play Spence again, because I said I think Spence was decent apart from the first 20 minutes. The left is more interesting because Gordon has not had a good tournament at all, really, until yesterday. And I think when you look at the dynamic I said on the right hand side, where who would you rather start with, who would you rather end with? I would much rather end with Rashford and start with Gordon than the other way around. But equally, yesterday we did the opposite, and Gordon came up clutch. So I guess it's a good problem to have. We do have genuine options, and I think the thing that I like, and I know this maybe could have been to our detriment yesterday, is the system doesn't change really with the personnel. It's very similar what we're trying to do. It's not like we've got any people who come in and completely tear the script up. So I thought O'Reilly defended quite well yesterday, actually. That was one thing I was a bit unsure on him going into this tournament. I thought he'd be just basically a number 10 playing at left back like he was for City. But I know the Congo wingers were fucking Robin and Ribery yesterday. But O'Reilly did defend them quite well. I think he defended them quite well. But I don't know. I mean, what would you change for the Mexico game? Obviously the altitude, mate. Don't forget the altitude.
Don't forget the altitude. It's going to be tough. I think I am not qualified to answer that question, and that's a brilliant place to be. And I think none of us watching are qualified or listening to this. What I will say is this is the exact reason Tuchel was brought in. What we've seen so far from England, we haven't really, except for about 30 minutes in the second half of Croatia, seen the level difference in management between Gareth Southgate and Thomas Tuchel. But Thomas Tuchel has been brought in to find solutions to these problems. So I trust him to do that. He has proven at club level that he can do that. He can win tournaments. He has got to find a way to answer these glaringly obvious problems that England are facing. And I'm not that anxious about it, because for years and years, we always hear the same old, the best teams grow into the tournament, And that's where I'm hoping that France can stutter at some point and someone can find a way to beat them, because they have just looked 100% pretty in every game. Like, there's questions over them defensively, but they've looked like they're a stone wall to win the World Cup. And I think you presented at early days of our podcast one of the best narratives that I've ever taken away. Is just like, whatever everybody thinks normally doesn't happen. So I'm hoping that happens with France and they don't just dog walk the World Cup and win it. Tuchel is there to find a solution to these issues. He's got world-class players. I am totally fine with an England team that is set up for Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane to perform. They're two of the best 10 players in world football. Kane's arguably in the top 3. If we can just find a way to keep getting Jude into those runs, because I think the second goal came from Jude sort of doing one of his classic runs from deep 8-man midfield all the way through, getting us up the pitch, and then we've come through and Gordon's found a perfect cross to Kane or whatever. If Tuchel can't find a way, then that's going to be our biggest issue. But that's what he's there. That's what he's there to do. You've got Nico. You've got players in that team that, respectfully to Mexico, they could win the game. They're an absolute force, especially at home. I said this before. There's not a single player, maybe one or two, that Quinones, or he looks special. And there's a few really talented players, but I don't think there's a single Mexico player that starts for this England team. And there's definitely not a single, maybe not more than one or two that get into the squad. So we've got the better team, and it's Tuchel's job to find a solution to that. What that looks like right now, I don't know. But if the fact that we don't know that, I'm trusting Tuchel to find that solution, and that our opponents won't know what's coming. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense. Let's quickly talk about the Azteca thing, because I'm reading it a lot. Oh, Mexico, they're literally unbeatable at home. They're incredible. They've not lost there in God knows how long. Like, have a look at who they play in competitive games in Azteca. It's just like Honduras, El Salvador on a loop. Like, they don't play anyone good ever. And I'm not saying that we won't. I'm not saying that we'll necessarily knock them out. Like, they're in incredible form. It's always difficult to go away, and obviously the altitude, as we said, like becoming a bit of like a running joke for me. But like, it is true. It does make a big difference. But like, people are talking like this is going to be I saw someone say this would be one of the most impressive knockout wins England have ever had if we beat them. And I'm like, is that not just more a bit of a damning indictment of like how we never beat anyone good? Because like, as I said, man for man, we're way better than Mexico, and that's not disrespectful to say that. I'm sure they would agree with it. But yeah, I think that it's being overblown a bit, is my perhaps controversial opinion.
I did the exact same thing as you, mate. I went and looked up after I'd heard the stat of they've only lost twice in 88 games there, the teams they had beaten. And it is just exactly what you said. Because obviously Mexico are a massive country, a massive footballing nation. They play in multiple stadiums there. It's not like they've beaten Messi's Argentina or prime Neymar Brazil multiple times in that stadium. They have had fixtures like friendlies that they've beaten Brazil in. I think they beat Croatia in a friendly there. And a lot of people are stat padding and using that to be like, oh my God, like they never lose there. And it's like, yes, but they don't play there every week, and they don't play Brazil, Argentina, Croatia, France, Germany. Like, lol, bye-bye Germany. I enjoyed that so much. It is definitely going to play a part, but we have an elite level athletic team that I would hope can adapt and have a lot of control of the ball, so that we're not doing like, if we have 40% possession, that's going to hurt us. We need to dominate the ball, and I think Tuchel's going to be aware of that and set up a team that can do that. So that's where I don't mind Rice coming in at right back, because he's going to give you a lot more dominance on the ball than like Konza or Jed Spence. Like, we're going to have more possession if we have a team of Bellingham, Anderson, and maybe Eza or even Rodgers in the 10, and we just control the game and we find a way to break them down. I think it's going to be all about control.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. Before we get into, I am going to put you on the spot in a second and ask you who you think should start against Mexico, because that's what football's about. We've not even spoken about Harry Kane. We've not mentioned him once. So I mean I'm going to go ahead and say I think the keeper should have saved his first header. And mate, oh my God, watching over here. Obviously, we have different coverage to the UK, and they have Fletch on comms. The legend Fletch, mate. He was doing my head in yesterday. He first of all he mentioned Cole Palmer after 10 minutes. 10 minutes into the game, he goes, "Well, you just think right now, wouldn't England love to turn to a player like Cole Palmer?" I'm like, no, like if Cole Palmer was on the bench, he wouldn't be being brought on right now. It's been 10 minutes in the game. First of all, he he was going on about Congo's keeper like he was like prime Neuer, and I understand he had a good game and he made some good saves. Can we be honest here? He probably made one save where I was like, oh, like, how's he saved that? And that was the Bellingham header, the second one that was low down to his right. Other than that, they were basically all straight at him. And I did quite enjoy him having to eat his words a little bit because he should have saved the first Kane goal. But the second goal, it made me realise how little Kane gets space in the box. Like, he just doesn't get the opportunity to shoot ever, because if you give him that space on his right foot within 25 yards, it feels like he just always scores.
Yeah, he's an absolute freak. I've heard it quite a lot actually from foreign media recently, like over the last week. We definitely underrate Kane in a sense that if Kane was for another nation, we never go into these games and be like, oh, it's certain that Kane scores. And obviously there's a certain arrogance that comes with that. But Harry Kane is close to breaking the pre-existing World Cup record. I think he needs 3 more goals. Obviously Mbappe and Messi are flying, and they've been a great story of the tournament in that Mbappe and Messi could finish on 22, and I think the record was 16 or whatever. But Harry Kane, if he was representing Spain or if he was representing Germany, like, we'd be going into those games as neutrals watching it going, well, Kane's definitely going to score. And it's almost like we don't appreciate or anticipate that. That goal he scored to win us the game is a Bayern Munich Harry Kane goal. Now, obviously Spurs as well, he was banging them in, but we never saw that as much because they weren't such a good team. If you ever watch Bundesliga highlights, which I would do pretty much any time Kane scores, I'm not going to claim to watch any of their league fixtures or games on repeat, but he scores that type of goal. He gets one touch out his feet in the box and he fucking smashes that. The way he connects with football is just different. It's time for us as a nation to start actually backing him, and rather, like, I was at the pub yesterday watching it with quite a lot of the lads, Joe Tomlinson, people we work with, not Joe specifically, but there was shouts to get Kane subbed off before he scored both those goals. He's not doing anything, get Tony on.
It's ridiculous.
It's like, we need to start realising what we've got here. Like, we've got the best number 9 in the world. I think Haaland's better at what he does, and like his ability to just be in the right place at the right time is just unprecedented. But Harry Kane, in and around that penalty box, we've got to start locking in as a nation and really trusting this guy to be like, look, if we're in a dark spot, if we're 1-0 down in the Azteca, get the ball to Harry Kane in these positions and he's going to save us.
I mean, that's now 72 goals he scored this season, which is just... I think I'm right in saying Ronaldo never scored 72 goals in a season, and then like Cristiano Ronaldo has never done that. Yeah, and Messi's only done it once. And I think there was a valid argument that that Kane didn't have necessarily like the clutch moments for England in the same, or for even for Spurs to an extent. Like, obviously you think about moments for England where there were big ones that fell to him. There's the Denmark penalty, which, yes, he scored the rebound. He did miss the penalty. He also missed the penalty against France in the quarterfinal, and like his record in finals and stuff isn't as good as it should be for a player of his standard. But I think that's why yesterday, and I know it's only DR Congo and blah, 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 but it's still a World Cup knockout game. It's still a game that England would have been knocked out of the World Cup in the round of 32 to DR Congo. Like, we had to score 2 goals. And that second goal in particular was just like, yeah, this is my moment. Give it to me. I'm gonna bail us out. And the whole... I saw it a lot as well yesterday. It's like, just bring Watkins on. Like, it's something a bit different. I'm like, Harry Kane is miles better than Ollie Watkins. Like, and also when Congo is sat in, I don't want Ollie Watkins up front. With all due respect to him, like, he's a good player. He offers things that Kane doesn't. If you've got 11 men behind the ball, I'm no sane football fan or manager would take off Harry Kane and bring on Ollie Watkins. That just would never happen. And it annoys me that the country keep doing that. But that won't happen against Mexico. I'm going to put you on the spot. We'll take turns doing it. What would be your starting 11 against Mexico? What would you change, if anything?
Yeah, no, I would make changes. I would push what I said as a narrative of control on the ball. So I would go Pickford in goal. I'd have Declan Rice in right back, which is a mental thing to say now, but I just want to see a little bit more control on the ball in that position. Someone who can deliver a ball into Bellingham or Kane. I would go Let's go Konza. I would like to see John Stones in there for experience, but realistically, I think Konza have deserved their partnership. I want to see a partnership formed. If we're going to win this thing, I want to see the same two centre backs. I don't want to keep chopping and changing. Nico O'Reilly on the left. I would then have Elliot Anderson sitting with Jude Bellingham a little bit deeper in that 8 position, running the game as well, getting on the ball in deeper areas like we saw against Panama. I would then flip between Rodgers or Eza. I'm going to go Eza. I think Rodgers has had an unnecessary pressure put on him. He's been put into comparisons against Jude. Should it be Jude or Rodgers? And I think Morgan Rodgers is brilliant, but he's not Jude Bellingham, and he's really hurting from that. So I'd have Eza in there again for control. Madueke on the right, so Eza and him know each other very well from club level football. And then it's a flip of a coin for me between Rashford and Gordon. I would start Gordon. And I would put Harry Kane, obviously, up front.
I like that. If what would you do about Reece James? Reece James apparently said yesterday that he is feeling good, in inverted commas. If he's like 70%, do we play him? Do you think?
No. I don't think so. I think you keep Reece James and you get him back to 100% fitness. We've seen Bukayo Saka come on, and I love this boy. He clearly can't run, and it's just a testament to how good of a player he is that we're putting on a player that can't sprint. He cannot sprint with that Achilles injury. After this World Cup, I don't think we see him for Arsenal for a month into the Premier League season. I genuinely think he just needs to rest that. Whatever it is, surgery, he needs to get back to full fitness. Reece James, for me, shouldn't be starting the game if there's any concerns. If he's 80, 90% fit, it has to be 100% fit to play. And I really want to see Declan Rice in there. But let me hear your 11.
It's a good question about or a good suggestion about the Rice thing, because I really liked the dynamic yesterday. But then I just worry, like, is that changing too much? And as I said, I think one of the strengths of Tuchel's England has been that it's very plug and play, and like players could just slot in wherever and does that. Just playing Rice centre back or right back change just the dynamic too much. So I am going to perhaps controversially say I would only make one change, which would be Gordon for Rashford, and basically start the same team that more or less the same team that played against Croatia. Apart from obviously Condor for Stones and Spence in for Reece James. I hope Reece James is big, because I think Reece James has that really nice balance of like what Spence is good at and what Rice is good at, in terms of he's a traditional right back who could defend a winger properly and has experience playing on that side like Jed Spence, but he also has a lot of control in possession and can whip a good ball in like Declan Rice can. I do like the dynamic you said, and if we set up in that way again, which I wouldn't be surprised if we do, because I think the good thing about that as well is that moving Bellingham a bit deeper, or like kind of having Anderson as a 6 and let's say Bellingham and Eza, or Bellingham and Rodgers as like dual 8s, not to go too tactico. It means that Bellingham can run from like a lot deeper. And I know you said earlier about that, like, the second goal comes from Bellingham making a run from really deep. I think when he plays alongside Kane in the way that he has been, like it's nearly like a 4-4-2 the way we've been playing recently. He just doesn't have like the depth of run in the same way that he can like exploit space that he would be if he could be a bit deeper. But yeah, I'm going to say Pickford, Spence, Konsa, Gahey, O'Reilly. Konsa, low-key on fraud watch for me this tournament, by the way. I've not been impressed with him either. Rice, Anderson, Bellingham, Madueke, Gordon, Kane. And then just the options off the bench are just, get me going. I feel like, yeah. I feel like I don't know. I think you need to struggle to win a tournament, and it's like what you said about the France thing. You can't dog walk the World Cup. That just doesn't happen. There is no team, and if France do it, fair play, but that's basically unprecedented. Like, you will have moments where it's like, oh, are we going to get through this game? You know, we're 1-0 down. It's close. I'm hoping that this struggle that we went through yesterday will be good practice for the future rounds.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. I completely agree. Final say on the England-Mexico game then. Let's get a score prediction from you, and let's get a rough breakdown of how you see the game playing out.
Okay, I reckon Mexico score early again. Because if we go through our previous knockout games, was it Slovakia or Slovenia, whoever Bellingham scored that bicycle kick against, they scored first. Then we played Switzerland, they scored first. Then we played Netherlands, they scored first. Then we played Spain, they scored first. Yesterday, DR Congo scored first. So that's 5 knockout games in a row we conceded the first goal. Bit worrying, but I'm going to say we're going to do the same thing again, but we're going to have a hashtag instant response in the form of a Anthony Gordon back post header Then bit of a terrible game. We look a bit leggy, but we control the game in the same way that you said we should. We make it a bit of a tough watch. And then I'm thinking like 73rd minute, a little Declan Rice corner onto the head of Harry Kane, Bosch 2-1, England go through. You could shove your altitude up your bum. Anyway, what about you?
Yeah, I think the same, actually. I think a 2-1 win, hopefully in 90 minutes, so we're not nail-biting into 4 a.m. on UK time. But I do see the game playing out in a very similar way to you. I'm not necessarily sure we'll go behind. I hope we don't, obviously, but I don't hate that shout. I think we get it done 2-1 in 90 minutes as well, mate. So again, we're pretty aligned on that one. But it's going to be a huge test, and it is one where I've seen it debated whether it's as big a win as it, people are going, oh my God, if we win that, then we're going to go in and potentially become like really strong tournament favourites. I'm not sure I see it that way because, again, I think the altitude has been overplayed, and I do think that Mexico on paper are a much weaker side than this England team, and it's a team that we should win, 9 times out of 10. I think if this game's played, England win the game. Next round, obviously, Norway, Brazil, that will be exciting if we can get through as well. And I really want to see us against one of those teams because we've spoke about this on the pod. Norway have really excited us both. And I think they're a much tougher team than people have made out. So, yeah, mate, I'm not as down in the dumps as everybody. I don't mind the struggle. I like it. I think if we were just smashing teams 4-0, going to the Azteca could be a little bit of a reality check, a scary one if we'd not looked ropey, if we'd not had questions, and suddenly we go 1-0 down. The team's been in adversity multiple times this tournament, multiple times, as you've outlined perfectly there in the Euros in the last tournament. We know how to come back. We know how to find ways to win. And we've just got to find ways, exactly like you said, to dominate the ball and get Jude and Harry Kane in the right areas.
Hell yeah.
Hell
God,
yeah.
you got me pumped, bro. You should do the team talk before the Mexico game. Get him in the bloody changing room.
Mate, get me in. Get the bloody nearly men in, mate. Yeah, well, thanks for jumping on, mate, taking time out of your tour of America to give us your insight, bro. What's the rest of your day and a couple next days looking like? You going to any more games?
No more games. I was actually, I told you I was meant to be going to the Dallas semi-final. I told you that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Rory Talks very kindly offered me a ticket. Yeah, that ticket actually just doesn't exist, so I'm not going. So cheers for that, Rory. So
Well, it's good for the
no,
pod. At least we get you back in the studio, so no more virtual pods.
exactly. So I'll be back. I'll be back in not next Monday, but the Monday after that. What's going on? As I was saying earlier, like it's just staying inside for prolonged periods of time today. Because I went for like a half an hour walk yesterday in 35-degree heat, and I was literally like drenched in sweat. So, couple museums, couple of bars. There's 4th of July on Saturday, so we're trying to formulate a plan. But it's kind of like New Year's Eve, I think, in that like it's a bit, what's the right thing to do. You can kind of just overthink it so much. So we're being a bit flexible with that. And then on Sunday, we're flying to the Dominican Republic for a week all inclusive, on the beach. I think they show the football there. So what I'm envisaging from that is like a bar in the pool, like a swim up bar. And then I want them to have a TV at said bar where I can just sit there and watch the World Cup every day. That's my plan.
Nice. Just unlimited pina colada glitch. Mate, that sounds unbelievable. Sounds absolutely unbelievable. Well, yeah, mate, we're looking forward to you coming back, obviously. We will get some exciting episodes in the studio in. Thanks for listening, guys, and all the support you guys have given the pod. I know these virtual ones aren't ideal. Maybe a little push to the Spotify if you're a YouTube subscriber. If the visuals aren't doing it for you, Spotify, we are climbing up the charts, Ollie. We are pushing towards a Christmas #1.
Come on.
So if you want to follow us over there, we'll probably do at least one more of these. We'll break down England definitely on the Monday or Tuesday of next week, depending on the time zone you're listening in. And yeah, thanks again for all the support. We'll be back for a normal podcast in studio Monday, another England debrief, hopefully looking forward to a quarter final.